Ever walk past your bathroom and notice a faint, musty smell you can't quite place? Or maybe you've watched the water in your kitchen sink drain just a little slower each week, and you keep telling yourself you'll deal with it later. Here's the thing. Your plumbing talks to you. It sends you warning signs long before something catastrophic happens. The problem is, most homeowners don't know what to listen for. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 8 warning signs your plumbing is begging you to pay attention to, what's actually causing each one, and exactly what to do about it before a small nuisance turns into a $5,000 disaster. Plus, stick around to the end, where I'll share a simple seasonal inspection routine that can catch almost every one of these problems early. Let's get into it. Your plumbing system is one of the most expensive and most hidden systems in your entire home. Pipes run behind walls, under floors, and underground, where you can't see them. That's exactly why these warning signs matter so much. By the time you actually see water damage or smell something foul, the problem has usually been building for weeks or even months. The good news is that every single one of these signs is something you can spot early if you know what to look for. So let's start with the first one. The first warning sign is slow drains. And I don't mean just one slow drain. I mean multiple drains in your house that all seem to be getting sluggish around the same time. If it's just your bathroom sink, that's usually a localized clog. Hair, soap scum, toothpaste buildup. You can often clear that yourself with a zip-it tool or a small drain snake. But when your kitchen sink, your shower, and your basement floor drain are all moving slow, that's a different story. That usually points to a problem in your main sewer line. Could be tree roots that have worked their way into the pipe through a small joint or crack. Could be a buildup of grease and debris that's been accumulating for years. I've seen homes where the homeowner ignored slow drains for 6 months, and by the time they called someone, roots had completely collapsed a section of clay pipe under the front yard. That repair ran close to $8,000 with the excavation. What you should do is this. If more than one drain is slow, rent or buy a basic drain camera. You can find them for around $50. Now that attached to your phone. Run it down your cleanout, which is usually a white PVC cap somewhere near your foundation or in your basement. If you can see roots or heavy buildup, that's your answer. And it's time to call a professional for a proper sewer line cleaning or inspection. The second warning sign is low water pressure that keeps getting worse over time. Now, if you just moved into your home and the pressure has always been low, that might just be a matter of adjusting your pressure regulator. But if you've lived in your home for years and the pressure is gradually dropping, pay attention. In homes with galvanized steel pipes, which were common in houses built before the 1970s, the inside of those pipes corrodes over time. Mineral deposits and rust build up on the interior walls, slowly choking off the flow. I've cut open galvanized pipes that were 3/4 inch on the outside but had an opening smaller than a pencil on the inside. It's remarkable how much buildup can accumulate over 20 or 30 years. Another common cause is a failing pressure-reducing valve. These are usually bell-shaped brass devices located near where your main water line enters the house. They typically last about 8 to 12 years before the internal parts wear out. What you should do is start by checking your pressure with a simple hose bib gauge. You can pick one up at any hardware store for under $10. Screw it on to an outdoor spigot, turn the water on, and read the dial. Normal residential pressure runs between 40 and 60 pounds per square inch. If you're below 40, check your pressure-reducing valve first. If your home has galvanized pipes and you're seeing low pressure at multiple fixtures, it might be time to start planning a repipe. That's a bigger job, but catching it early lets you budget and plan rather than dealing with an emergency. By the way, if you're finding this advice helpful, you should know it's just a small sample of what I've put into my new guide, The Ultimate Plumbing Playbook. It's packed with step-by-step instructions for hundreds of repairs that can save you thousands. To grab your copy, you can scan the QR code on the screen right now, or just use the first link in the description below. All right, let's continue. The third warning sign is discolored or rusty water coming out of your faucets. If you turn on a faucet and get brownish or reddish water, don't panic, but don't ignore it either. First, figure out whether it's coming from just the hot side or both hot and cold. Run only the cold water for a minute. If it's clear, then your water heater is likely the culprit. Sediment and rust build up inside water heater tanks over time, especially if the tank has never been flushed. If the anode rod, which is a sacrificial metal rod inside the tank designed to attract corrosion, has completely deteriorated, the tank itself starts to rust from the inside. At that point, you're on borrowed time before the tank develops a leak. If the discolored water is coming from both hot and cold, the problem is in your supply pipes. This is especially common in older homes with galvanized or iron pipes. What you should do is flush your water heater at least once a year by connecting a garden hose to the drain valve at the bottom of the tank and letting it run until the water comes out clear. If you've never done this and your heater is more than 5 years old, you might be surprised at what comes out. If the problem is in your pipes, have a plumber assess whether a partial or full repipe is warranted. The fourth warning sign is a toilet that constantly runs or cycles on and off by itself. This one seems minor, and most people just jiggle the handle and move on. But a running toilet can waste up to 200 gallons of water per day. That adds up to over 6,000 gallons a month, which you'll see reflected in your water bill. The most common cause is a worn-out flapper valve. That's the rubber piece at the bottom of your tank that lifts when you flush and seals the water in between flushes. Over time, the rubber deteriorates, warps, or develops mineral buildup that prevents a tight seal. Replacing a flapper is genuinely one of the easiest plumbing repairs you can do. Turn off the supply valve behind the toilet, flush to empty the tank, unhook the old flapper from the overflow tube, and snap the new one in place. The whole job takes about 5 minutes and the part costs $3 to $5. If replacing the flapper doesn't solve it, check the fill valve. Sometimes the float is set too high, causing water to trickle into the overflow tube continuously. You can adjust most fill valves by turning a screw or sliding a clip on the float rod. If neither fix works, the flush valve seat itself might be corroded or pitted, and at that point, you're looking at a flush valve replacement, which is still very doable but takes a bit more time. The fifth warning sign is water stains on your ceilings or walls. This is one that people notice but sometimes convince themselves isn't a big deal. A small yellowish-brown ring on the ceiling. A slight bubbling in the paint near a bathroom. Please don't ignore these. By the time water has traveled through your subfloor or wall cavity and left a visible stain, it's been leaking long enough to potentially cause structural damage and mold growth. The source isn't always directly above the stain either. Water can travel along joists and pipes and show up feet away from the actual leak. What you should do is get into the attic or crawl space above the stain if you can, and look for moisture with a flashlight. Check where supply lines and drain pipes pass through that area. Feel for dampness on the wood. If you find active moisture, trace it back to its highest point. Common culprits are leaking wax rings under toilets on upper floors, failed supply line connections, and condensation on poorly insulated cold water pipes. Address the leak first, then let the area dry completely before patching the ceiling. If you see any black or dark green discoloration on the wood or drywall, that's likely mold, and you'll want to handle that carefully. The sixth warning sign is a sudden unexplained spike in your water bill. If your usage habits haven't changed, but your bill jumped 20 or 30% or more, something is leaking somewhere. The tricky part is that the leak might be completely hidden. It could be a supply line under a slab foundation. It could be an irrigation line buried in your yard. Here's a simple test you can do right now. Make sure every faucet, toilet, dishwasher, and ice maker in your house is off. Then go find your water meter, which is usually in a concrete box near the curb. Look at the flow indicator, which is usually a small triangle or dial on the face. If it's spinning when nothing in the house is running, you have a leak somewhere. To figure out if it's inside or outside, find your main shutoff valve and close it. If the meter stops, the leak is inside the house. If it keeps spinning, the leak is between the meter and your home, which usually means an underground supply line. Either way, this is something you want to address quickly, because a slab leak that goes undetected for months can undermine your foundation and cost tens of thousands of dollars in repairs. The seventh warning sign is a foul sewer smell inside your home. This one really gets people's attention, and rightfully so. Sewer gas contains methane and hydrogen sulfide, and beyond just smelling terrible, it can actually be harmful in concentrated amounts. The most common cause is surprisingly simple. Every drain in your home has a P-trap, that curved section of pipe underneath that holds a small amount of water. That water acts as a seal to block sewer gas from coming back up through the drain. If you have a guest bathroom, a basement floor drain, or any fixture that doesn't get used regularly, the water in that trap can evaporate, breaking the seal and letting sewer gas in. The fix is as easy as running water in every drain in your house for about 15 to 20 seconds once a month. Just walk through the house and let every faucet, shower, and floor drain run briefly. If the smell persists after that, you might have a cracked or disconnected vent pipe in your attic, or a damaged wax ring under a toilet. Vent pipes run from your drain system up through the roof, and if one cracks or separates at a joint in the attic, sewer gas can fill that space and seep into your living area. Check your attic for any obvious disconnections in the PVC vent piping. The eighth and final warning sign is banging or hammering pipes, often called water hammer. You turn off a faucet, or your washing machine valve closes, and you hear a loud bang or series of thuds in the walls. That sound is caused by the sudden stoppage of water flow, which sends a shock wave through the pipes. It sounds dramatic, and honestly, it can cause real damage over time. Repeated water hammer can loosen pipe joints, damage fittings, and eventually cause leaks inside your walls. Most modern homes have water hammer arresters installed, which are small devices with an air chamber that absorbs the shock. But the air in these can become waterlogged over the years, making them ineffective. If you're hearing water hammer, start by checking the air chambers. You can recharge them by shutting off your main water supply, opening the highest and lowest faucets in the house to completely drain the system, and then closing the faucets and turning the water back on. This restores the air cushion in the chambers. If that doesn't work, you can install dedicated water hammer arresters at the specific fixtures causing the problem. They thread right onto the supply valve and cost about $10 to $15 each. Now let's talk about what to do when you notice more than one of these warning signs at the same time. If you've got slow drains and sewer smell, that's almost certainly a main line issue. The blockage is preventing proper drainage and allowing gas to push back through the system. If you're seeing low pressure and discolored water together, your pipes are likely corroding from the inside, and a repipe conversation needs to happen sooner rather than later. Running toilet combined with a high water bill is straightforward, but make sure the toilet is actually the only source. Do the meter test I described to rule out hidden leaks. Water stains combined with a high bill is the most urgent combination, because it means you have an active leak that's both wasting water and causing structural damage. Don't wait on that one. And if you're ever unsure whether something is a real problem or just a quirk of an older house, here's my rule of thumb. If the symptom is getting worse over time, it's a real problem. Plumbing issues almost never fix themselves. They only get more expensive. Now, for that bonus tip I promised, at the beginning, twice a year, once in the spring, and once in the fall, do a full plumbing walkthrough of your house. It takes about 20 minutes, and it can save you thousands. Start at your water heater. Look at the floor around it for any signs of moisture or mineral deposits. Check the temperature and pressure relief valve by lifting the lever briefly. Water should flow freely and stop when you release it. Then walk to every sink and toilet. Look under every sink for drips or moisture on the supply lines and drain connections. Feel the supply hoses. If they're the old rubber style with no braided stainless steel jacket, replace them. Those are ticking time bombs. Flush every toilet and watch the fill cycle. Check the base for any rocking or moisture. Run every faucet and floor drain you don't use regularly to keep the traps filled. Then go outside and look at your hose bibs and any exposed piping. In the fall, this is when you disconnect garden hoses and shut off exterior supply valves before the first freeze. This simple routine catches 90% of problems before they become emergencies, and it costs you nothing but a few minutes. Before you go, I want to make sure you know about my complete guide, The Ultimate Plumbing Playbook. It goes way deeper than we can in a single video, with 85 pages covering everything from clearing any clog to replacing your own water heater. If you want to stop wasting money on simple fixes, this book is for you. Just scan the QR code on the screen or click the link in the description to get your copy. Thanks for watching. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. Take care of your plumbing, and it'll take care of you. I'll see you in the next video.